Hello and welcome to our last week of How to Train Your Attitude. This week we will be talking about obedience. Let's head over and visit for the last time with Clancy and Fireball.
Kids, I've taught you a lot about training dragons, but today I want to talk about you. I want to talk about being a good dragon trainer.
Whoa! Training the trainer? That sounds like fun. Okay, kids, sit.
Whoa, they are sitting.
Good trainers, good trainers.
Kids, dragons are only as good as the trainers they follow. If you teach your dragon to have a good attitude, to be kind, to be grateful, compassionate, you'll have a good dragon on your hands.
Just like me.
But not everyone trains dragons to be that way, and the way I do. In fact, there are some dragons trainers who teach the dragons to be naughty.
There are?
They don't teach dragons to use nice words. They don't teach gratitude, and they don't teach compassion.
Oh, what do they teach?
They teach the dragons to attack,
Whoa!
to burn,
All right.
to destroy.
Yeah, go, go,
Whoa,
go, go.
whoa, whoa.
I mean, that's not cool, man.
No, it's not good.
No. Although there's a part of me that would love to attack and burn and destroy.
Whoa, I know, Fireball, but what kind of dragon would it be if you did all those things?
Awesome?
A bad dragon.
Oh, I don't want to be a bad dragon.
You're not bad. You chose wisely. You listen well, and you have chosen a good and what is good and what is right.
Oh, thanks, Clancy.
And I want you, kids, to make wise choices as well. Who do you follow? Whose example do you want to copy? Are you following people who have good attitudes or bad? If you choose poorly, you won't have a good attitude. But if you follow God and people who set Christ-like example, you'll have a good attitude that is kind, grateful, and compassionate.
Just like me.
Just like Fireball.
He's a peach, isn't he?
Be kind, be compassionate, be grateful, and always obedience to those who set a good example. That's the secret of training your attitude.
And your dragon.
Last time, say goodbye, Fireball.
Goodbye, Fireball! In the How to Train Your Dragon series, Hiccup and his friends undertake what seems to be an impossible task. They want to teach one of the most dangerous creatures on Earth to be obedient to them. Until Hiccup trained Toothless, no one ever thought dragons could be tamed. Dragons were to be feared, hunted, and killed, but never trained. Hiccup showed his father and his community that the right kind of training and the right kind of leadership can even tame the wildest of dragons. Once the dragons became tame, they were no longer a threat to their new masters. They became not just obedient, but helpful and kind. Their whole attitude changed as they adjusted to a new, loving relationship with the Vikings. The Vikings learned to be wise, kind, and patient with the dragons, and that led the dragons to change their attitudes. For the last few weeks, we've been talking about training our attitudes. We learned that having a good attitude requires us to keep control of our tongues and the words that we speak. We learned that we need to be kind and compassionate toward others. And we learned that we need to have a grateful heart. All of these lessons came to us out of the Bible, which is God's Word. God gave us the Bible to train us how to live in a way that will honor Him. And if we learn to obey the laws that God has given us, we will indeed have a better attitude and become a blessing to other people. In the Old Testament, God chose a group of people called the Israelites to be His people. He gave them a set of laws known as the Ten Commandments, and He asked them to live and act differently than the world around them by following those commandments. One of Israel's greatest leaders was a man named Joshua, who led the Israelites to a land God had long promised them for their own. Before Joshua died, he urged the people to follow God's commands and no one else. So today our passage to read from the Bible is from Joshua chapter 24, verses 1 through 15. If you'd like to turn there now with me. Joshua chapter 24, verses 1 through 15. The covenant renewed at Shechem. Then Joshua assembled all the tribes of Israel at Shechem. He summoned the elders, leaders, judges, and officials of Israel, and they presented themselves before God. And Joshua said to all the people, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Long ago your forefathers, including Terah, the father of Abraham, and Nahor, lived beyond the river and worshipped other gods. But I took your father Abraham from the land beyond the river and led him throughout Canaan and gave him many descendants. I gave him Isaac, and to Isaac I gave Jacob and Esau. I assigned the hill country of Seir to Esau, but Jacob and his sons went down to Egypt. Then I sent Moses and Aaron, and I afflicted the Egyptians by what I did there, and I brought you out. When I brought your fathers out of Egypt, you came to the sea, and the Egyptians pursued them with chariots and horsemen as far as the Red Sea. But they cried to the Lord for help, and he put darkness between you and the Egyptians. He brought the sea over them and covered them. You saw with your own eyes what I did to the Egyptians, and then you lived in the desert for a long time. I brought you to the land of the Amorites, who lived east of the Jordan. They fought against you, but I gave them into your hands. I destroyed them from before you, and you took possession of their land. When Balak, son of Zippor, the king of Moab, prepared to fight against Israel, he sent for Balaam, son of Beor, to put a curse on you. But I would not listen to Balaam, so he blessed you again and again, and I delivered you out of his hand. Then you crossed the Jordan and came to Jericho. The citizens of Jericho fought against you, as did also the Amorites, Perizzites, Canaanites, Hittites, Girgashites, Hivites, and Jebusites, but I gave them into your hands. I sent the hornet ahead of you, which drove them out before you. Also the 2 Amorite kings, you did not do it with your own sword and bow. So I gave you a land on which you did not toil, and cities you did not build, and you live in them, and eat from their vineyards and olive groves that you did not plant. Now fear the Lord and serve him with all faithfulness. Throw away the gods your forefathers worshipped beyond the river and in Egypt, and serve the Lord. But if serving the Lord seems undesirable to you, then choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve, whether the gods your forefathers served beyond the river, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you are living. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord." So we heard a lot of stories of what happened with the Israelites there. The Israelites had been slaves in the land of Egypt and had endured hardships in the wilderness. They had watched as God gave them one victory after another, and they knew God was with them. Now that Israel was in a land all of their own, Joshua was worried that the Israelites would forget the one true God and worship some of the false gods of the people who lived around them. Joshua knew that if Israel obeyed God, God would continue to bless them. He would protect them from other nations and keep them safe. He would also use the Israelites to be a blessing to other people. So Joshua urged the people to remember all that God had done for them and to stay obedient to God alone. His message can be summed up in those final words: "Choose this day whom you will serve. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." Our attitudes depend on many things. How much sleep we get, how many friends we have, how good our family life is. But the single biggest factor regarding our attitude is whom we follow. Whose rules are you living by? Who is teaching you how to treat other people? Who do you want to be like when you grow up? The world offers us many leaders. Some people choose to follow after celebrities, who are often concerned only about themselves. They see their favorite TV star posting selfies all over the internet and they think, that's how I want to be. Other people follow businessmen who will sometimes lie, cheat, and steal to get what they want. They see that these people don't care about the feelings of others, but only about money. They see the houses and cars and the fancy clothes these people own and they think, that's how I want to be. But then we come to the Bible and what do we see? We see a man named Jesus. Jesus was not royalty or a celebrity. He never put himself ahead of anyone, but always put others first. He left his throne in heaven to become the son of a poor carpenter. He ate with the sinners and the tax collectors. He spent time with the sick and the disabled. He gave his life so that the whole world could be forgiven of its sins. And he says to us, go and do likewise. Why should we follow Jesus? Why is his example so much better than the rich and famous people that we see on TV? Because Jesus is God's son. He created us and he died for us. And he wants to show us a better way to live. When we follow Jesus, we reject selfishness and selfish ambition. We control our tongues and use our words to help others. We are compassionate and we put others first. And we're always grateful for God's blessings. Why be obedient to Jesus? Because he is the good teacher. Because only Jesus can show us how to have a good attitude. It becomes a blessing to everyone we meet. As Joshua told the Israelites, the choice is all yours. You can choose to follow the selfish celebrities, the greedy politicians, the shady businessmen, or you can choose to follow the Lord. That's the best way to train your attitude. So these days, when we are inside in self-isolation, what is your personal space? Your space that you can call your own. Maybe you have a bedroom all to yourself. Maybe you don't. Maybe you share a bedroom with a sibling and you only have one little space you can call your own. But I know that in the past few weeks, my children have been making an array of their own spaces around my house, including forts and caves and all kinds of things. Well, today for an activity, I thought that I would attach a link to be able to color this picture in this verse that talks about how our house will serve the Lord. And you can go and you can post that and hang it in your personal space to remind you that in your life that you would desire to obey and serve God. Have a great week. We'll surprise you with something new next week. We're done with dragons and we'll have to say goodbye to Clancy and Fireball, but I'm sure there will be something new and exciting for next time. We'll have to wait and see.
I think that we have to do some bloopers at the end.
None.
Oh my goodness, my eyes are crossing up. Ah! Say goodbye, Clancy. Say goodbye, Dragon. Say goodbye, Fireball.
Goodbye, Fireball! Eso, por favor, láyale, qué desastre! Get up and go and start over.
Ah.
Get up and go and start over.
Ah. Wanna go over again? Yes, I got distracted with my life. Say bye, Fireball.